Hello, my name is Bradley Abert, and I'm going to discuss the topic of transitions and pointers as used in writing. This is covered in the first half of Chapter 8 in They Say I Say by Gerald Graff and Kathy Birkenstein. Without a cohesive logical flow, our writing can seem very disconnected and make it very hard for readers to comprehend what we're trying to get across, and may even cause them to reread what we have written and guess at its meaning. This can be avoided by connecting your sentences and paragraphs by both looking back and forward with the use of transitional and pointing words and phrases. We're first going to look at transitions. To help move your writing from one place to another, keywords and phrases can be used as a signaling mechanism to tell the reader what your intent is. As an illustration, this very sentence I am speaking now begins with a transitional phrase. By stating as an illustration, I was signaling to you that I am providing a real life example of the topic I just described. In addition to signaling the use of an example, transitions can be used to add to one's point. I just used the transition in addition to do so just now. Besides the uses I just described, transitions can also be used to echo a previous point by saying something like, in other words, or modifying something you stated with the use of and yet, for example. There are many other examples in the book. We will next go over the use of pointing words. It is often useful to point back to parts of what you have already written. These help create a logical flow. Common examples of pointing words are this, these, that, those, there, and such. When using pointers, be careful to make sure there is only one object that a pointer can be referring to, or it could cause some confusion. Look at some real examples from our class text, Against Football by Stephen Almond. The first example I am going to provide actually uses both transitional words and pointing words in the same first few sentences of a paragraph. I'll first start with the end of the last paragraph. Quote, our money and attention are what subsidize the game. This is true of all pro sports, but it's especially true of football. Consider this factoid. The use of this is true points back to the end of the previous paragraph and sets up the rest of the current paragraph. The transitional word consider leads to an example which helps prove the point. Another example contains a phrase that was not mentioned in the book as an example of a pointing phrase, that is, they say, I say, wasn't mentioned as an example, but I think it is a great example of a pointing phrase. Quote, let us return, then, to the scene of the NFL Combine, to those defensive backs who just finished their drill, end quote. What Mr. Almond is reckoning back to is several paragraphs back, but he effectively uses a pointing phrase without making the mistake of ambiguous reference. He avoids this by further reminding us it is about the NFL Combine scene from earlier. In conclusion, that's actually a transitional phrase too. In addition, they can be used for conclusions as well. You see, transitional and pointing words are a means to help us make the point we are trying to get across in our writing. They help ease our reader into our prose as well as hold their hand along the way. Thank you for watching.